Tiberias, which is now the big city. It was built during the time when Jesus came to this area. That's when they built the town of Tiberias. But as I already told you, this was not a clean city. So Josephus said that Herod Antipas, who built the city, what he did, he took the blind people and gave them into Tiberias. Yeah, so they couldn't tell that this was where they are, and he gave them houses to live there. So later on, of course, the city of Tiberias gets bigger and more important, and even in the book of John, they already call the lake of Tiberias. See? So, you know, we believe the book of John was written somewhere around 180. So in that time, Tiberias already gets to be the largest city in this area. And then the rabbis also said that it's okay to now live in Tiberias. So some of the very famous Jewish rabbis are buried in Tiberias. We have some tombs of rabbis who are buried there. So Tiberias became a sacred city for Jews. From an unclean city, it became a sacred city.
Yeah.
What they called the Jerusalem Talmud, which was the commentary to the oral law. There's two commentaries. One is called the Babylonian one, and one is called the Jerusalem one. But the Jerusalem one is really put together here in Tiberias. But of course, to make it sound better, they call it the Talmud, Jerusalem Talmud, and not the Tiberias Talmud. But it was actually done here in Tiberias.
Good Lawn Hotel.
Named after the Roman Emperor Tiberius. Okay, remember we saw the stone the other day at Caesarea when we had the name of Pilate. You remember? So it had the name of Pilate, who was the governor of Judea at that time, and it was during the time of Caesar Tiberius, who the city was named after. So Herod Antipas, he is the builder of Tiberias. He's the one who's also called the fox in the New Testament.
People there, they got pork chops. I don't think so.
I like that little, my grandson would love that. 2 of them.
This needs to be excavated, this area back here. This parking lot and all of that back here, that would be the Roman city of Caesarea, of Tiberias. Here. They started to dig here, but they never really finished that. Yeah, the baptismal, the real baptismal site is down near Jericho, but the problem there is because there is hardly any water, it's very muddy down there.
Dirty.
Right. come back. We'll be one half a day. We'll drive down to Jericho and Qumran and let you. Several asked me, are we going to be able to swim in the Dead Sea? The answer is yes.
All right.
Yeah. And I even said those who want to fish there can come and fish there. Yeah.
We'll be able to one day.
Right. Well,
According to Ezekiel, one day we'll be able to
right.
fish.
That's true. Ezekiel 47 speaks about the day there will be fish in the Dead Sea. You're right. The fish will be there just like in the Great Sea. And the Great Sea is, of course, the Mediterranean.
Are we going to go to Qumran
Yeah.
where the Dead Sea Scrolls
But
are
maybe
found?
you can even fish in the Dead Sea, guys.
Dead Sea Scrolls. Will we go to the Dead Sea Scrolls? We go to the Dead Sea Scrolls.
No, Qumran will do when we do the half a day. We'll see how we do with Engedi and Qumran and Masada. Maybe on the way. No, we'll do Qumran when we do Jericho. Yeah, that's better. And then we go swimming in the Dead Sea. We'll do half a day, Qumran, Jericho, and swim from Jerusalem. Here you see where the border now is with Jordan. You see that fence down there? See, Israel has its longest border with Jordan. But we signed a peace treaty with Jordan. It was King Hussein who died, and now it's his son, Abdullah. He's the king of Jordan. Here, you see, that's the border. That's all the way down to Eilat. If you look on your map, the longest border is hundreds of miles from here down to the Red Sea. So it's the mountains of Gilead, Moab, and Edom, all the way down to the Arava Valley, and then at the end to the Red Sea. The Moabites, yes, Moabites, the Ammonites, all of those kind of people lived out on the other side of the lake, of the River Jordan. But when the Israelites came into the land, we'll see that tomorrow, they crossed over into this side of the Promised Land. Only 2.5 tribes settled on the eastern side of the Jordan River, and the other 9.5 tribes received the land on this side of the Jordan River, which is now Israel.
Did the Edomites stay on the other side?
The Edomites what?
Did they stay on the other side?
They stayed on the other side, yes. Herod the Great, when the Jews converted the Edomites that was the only time historically that the Jews converted people to Judaism. I mean, without really something that Jews never did before. That's how the Herodian family came into power and took over, and King Herod became king. So when they came to this land, they said, "We want to become farmers." There was something they couldn't do. They couldn't do in Europe. So when the first pioneers came, they said no. University professors that came from Germany and from France and from other countries, they wanted to prove that they can become farmers. And you can see that they became very, very good farmers. But now the government says, we don't need you anymore. You have done your job. It's a problem all over the Western world. The Roman period, and they have done a beautiful job in excavating this city, so we will be able to see that city. So first we stop here where you can get yourself, you want to eat something, you want to get an ice cream, you want a Coke, you want to eat schnitzel or something, you can do that, and then we're going to walk down to see the city of Skytopolis. That's one of those 10 cities of the Decapolis. We saw yesterday Hippos, I pointed you out, and Gadara. The rest of the cities are down in Jordan of today, but there's only one city on the western side of the Jordan River, and that's the city of Bet Shean or Skytopolis. before 1948.
It's over 60, 60, yeah. I'll have to check.
Drive up this way, look over to your right. Here this is part of the Roman city that existed here. This is now not a theater, an amphitheater. That's where they used to have the gladiators, and that's where the lions, you see where the lions would have come out? Yep. And that's why they have that wall. So those lions cannot run up and they eat the people, right? So this is an amphitheater. Amphitheater. They found that here. We'll see a beautiful theater, but that's an amphitheater. It's two semicircles put together as an amphitheater. Yeah, because we don't have any more lions in Israel. Well, a lot of Christians, but where are the lions? So you have to be careful when you tell those stories. Don't believe everything they tell you.
Somebody was going to bite that.
Watch it.
Nice little vehicle right there.
Yeah, that's the kind of car I need to have.
What's the name of this lady here?
I'm done with right line. It didn't matter what you had behind it. When you flip from 9 to 10, you run 75 miles an hour. It just won't wall.
Looks like they're setting up for music tonight.
They come behind them guys that just don't get the last extreme monster basketball. That's what they call it, extreme monster.
Still digging. Chapter 31. Can y'all hear?
Yep.
And the men of Israel fled from before the Philistines and fell slain on Mount Gilboa. Then the Philistines followed hard after Saul and his sons, and the Philistines killed Jonathan, Benadab, and Shusha, Saul's sons. The battle became fierce against Saul. The archers hit him, and he was severely wounded by the archers. Then Saul said to the armor-bearer, "Draw your sword and thrust me through with it, lest these uncircumcised men come and thrust me through and abuse me." But his armor-bearer would not, for he was greatly afraid. Therefore Saul took a sword and fell on it. And when his armor-bearer saw that Saul was dead, he also fell on his sword and died with him. So Saul, his 3 sons, his armor-bearer, and all his men died together that same day. And when the men of Israel who were on the other side of the valley, and those who were on the other side of the Jordan, saw that the men of Israel had fled, and that Saul and his sons were dead, they forsook the cities and fled, and the Philistines came and dwelt in them. So it happened the next day when the Philistines came to strip the slain, and they found Saul and his 3 sons fallen on Mount Gilboa. And they cut off his head and stripped him of his armor, and sent word throughout the land of the Philistines to proclaim it in the temple of their idols and among the people. Then they put his armor in the temple of the Ashtoreth, and they fastened his body to the wall of Beth-Shan. Now when the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead heard what the Philistines had done to Saul, and all the day men arose and traveled all night and took the body of Saul with the bodies of his sons from the wall of Beth Jan, and they came from Jabesh and burned them there. Then they took their bones and buried them under the tamarisk there at Jabesh and fasted 7 days.
Okay? Okay, let's go over to see the model.
Your brother said amen.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so as I said, the name of the city, and you just heard now, is called Beit. It was an important city, a Canaanite city, and also Egyptian. There's a lot of Egyptian influence, and especially in the excavations we have done on the tell. You see, it has a tell, and that artificial hill. That's what you see here on the model, and that's where all the Canaanite cities would have been. Okay, all the early, the bronze, the early bronze, the mid bronze, the late bronze, and all of that. And till we get to the Greek and Roman period. I mean, they don't build cities up on little cities on hills. They are the ones who are now starting to build big cities. And as I said before, Decapolis is the name means 10 cities. And the Romans built 10 cities for Romans in this country. The guy that was healed by Jesus, you remember yesterday, when he was healed by Jesus, he told him, you go into the Decapolis, you go, in other words, to your people and tell them what the Lord has done for you. So if he did what Jesus told him, he also should have come to this town and told those people what he did for him. Because this was one of the cities. You see, as Jesus would not go to those kind of cities. Those were pagan cities. He didn't want to go to a pagan city. So he sent the guy to be the one to tell the people about what happened to him. Okay, now this is where we drove by. You see the empty theater that we saw up there when we drove in? That's right up here. And that shows that it was built in a later period, because this is the residential areas of Decapolis. By the way, Decapolis, that means the people were from Scythia. Scythia is where the Ukraine is today. That was also occupied by the Romans. And they named the city after Polis is a city. So they named the city after the place where they originally came from. So Scythopolis is the name of the city. We are looking down this way to see that theater that we're going to see in a few minutes. The main street of the city is called the Cardo. Okay, that's the one. And then we have a big bathhouse over to the left. Then we have the marketplace, the Agora. And then there was also an hippodrome here as well that hasn't been excavated yet, further down. On top of the tell, the Greeks and then the Romans had the temple to Zeus. Okay, that's why you see that building on top of the tell. Zeus is the god of all the gods. He's the most important god, so they put a temple for him on top of the tell. Okay. So this is probably what the city would have looked like. This city was completely destroyed in the earthquake in the year 747 AD. That was the major earthquake that destroyed everything in this country. And in the 1960s, they started the archaeological dig. None of that was here up till 1960. We didn't even stop here. We drove by. We used to tell the people, there is Mount Gilboa, there is Tel Bet Shean. We wouldn't even stop here because none of that was here. So all this has been excavated in the last 50 years. And there's a lot more to do, okay? But they did excavate what we would call today downtown Scythopolis, okay? That's that area back here that we're going to go and see now.
They'll get to see the first bathrooms too, won't they?
Oh,
Well,
We're all going to
but they should have waited and not used this one.
Yeah.
See, I should have let them use those ones
You'll
over
get to
there.
see them down here. Got a bucket of vinegar? It's true. How they work them.
Okay, so we're going to take a walk here for a few hours. And then we go back.
Takes a while to see this.
How many want to walk up the tell? Okay. So you go part of the way with us? No. First, and then we give you time. We'll set up a time to meet here. We will drink coffee and you will walk up the hill.
Which one of these is Mount Gilboa?
The what?
Mount Gilboa.
Gilboa, we cannot see it now.
Oh,
Gilboa is right behind us.
Okay.
It's right behind us. We will see it tomorrow as we drive along here. It's about to rain. That's how they were able to build those huge places.
Oh, they were smart builders, wasn't
They were the builders. They were builders.
That's where the road.
Right. But that's how they could move stones.
It's still amazing when we get to Jerusalem, you look at some of those.
Yeah, those huge. This is a baby stone.
Yeah.
Compared to what we'll see in Jerusalem. Now we'll go down to the stage. Too many steps in the theater. You want to go down the theater? Okay, bye-bye. Auditorium, right. Vomiting. You're vomiting out. You exit. That's where you get your word. Your word from. This would be the orchestra. Look at the people, the rich people, of course. They didn't have to walk down any steps. They came in with their chariot like this, and look where they sit, right there, and they can lean back. Okay, that's the VIP seats. Yeah, even then they would be VIP. Yeah, that's not a new thing. That would go. So the rich ones and the ones with they could sit right there. And this is not an amphitheater. No lions. This is a real performances would be here. That would be dramas and all of that. Those things that would be in the Roman world of that day. Actually, the Greeks were the first one who started with that, but the Romans continued that. They liked, of course, the other place more, where they had the gladiators and the fighting. Those were much bigger. That's where most of the people liked to go. But in the Greek period, there were only theaters, like this one here.
You could still have a performance here today, couldn't you?
Right. Uh-huh. What? This was built in the Roman period, 1st, 2nd century AD. 1st century AD. Yeah.
Amazing.
That's on my Lord, my husband loves that movie.
Mm.
Yeah.
Somebody that's from the Roman period. That's who you're here.
Let's go see that magnificent theater. I want you to prepare it.
That's what happens when you become too big. And the Roman Empire was just too big, and then it all falls.
Amazing sources.
Yeah. So this is still original. Basically what you see here, we didn't have to do, we did some restoration of course to make sure it will not collapse on us, but that is still, almost everything here is still original.
Jump the arches out of wood first, and then stone on top. Right. Then they remove the wood.
I do that. I found more up to it. Yeah.
Would you stop pulling her down, Renee?
Watch out, guys.
Yep.
Some toenail getters down here.
That's not really exciting right there. Hold on to that wall. Would you like the high road? Thank you. Mine is very deadly.
Because she falls and breaks her hip.
There were several temples in those cities, of course. Everybody could go to the temple he wanted to. There were many gods, many temples. See, and there are several of them. So this is one of the areas where they found temples. There's another area we're going to go later on to. And this is, of course, the highlight of the city. There were three. So what you do, you put the tuchus between those two stones. And there's a basket down below. And then they have that trough, and they have running water. Okay? That's the trough. Now, of course, you didn't have toilet paper, so what did you do?
They ain't gonna stick with the sponge.
Use the Sears and Roebuck.
Okay?
Sponge on a stick.
A channel of running water beneath the seats.
It was the original bidet.
Provided drainage. People had their own private basket. One of the rabbis said, who is a happy man? The guy that had his own basket. Yeah. So how many want to go down and sit on those?
I do. Yeah, we gotta get a picture of them.
All right, let's go, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, babe. It's the only time you'll ever see that, babe. You gotta take a picture of it now.
When they wanted to make people pay for using the bathroom. Almost.
You had a toilet discussion? Yes, they did. And I got it on camera. Proud. Are we done?
Get on there.
That's good. You're the guy.
Right here, everybody right here.
Feels like we're in a brothel.
Now, how do you know what one looks like?
Now the man got to go.
Now the man.
All right? Look over your shoulder, your left shoulder. Left shoulder.
Oh my goodness.
The authentic bathroom back in what period of time?
All right, y'all turned around.
Turn around.
Tell us when you start.
Turn back, y'all ain't through yet.
Hey, let us know when you want us to start.
You gotta start. You're through now. Y'all through? Y'all through? That's long, that's long.
Walker still ain't not done yet. You gotta give him more time. Three people talking.
What was the authentic time for this, Ronnie? When they,
What was the
Let's get away from here. It's getting smelly, guys.
Ron, what was the time of this right here?
That's all Roman. You see, the Romans had it all the way till the 4th century, up all the way through the Byzantine period as well.
So the 4th century on that.
3rd, 4th century. Every city had that bathroom, of course.
oh wow,
One of the
that is.
new technologies
There's been plenty of rain.
they can have some.
Down there. Yeah, I bet. That's where the head is sitting actually. Yes. That's a lot of digging. That out. I wonder how many people work on this side. I think it's a bunch. They were doing excavation Going where? You'd have to call an ambulance. If I wanted to hit.
It don't look too swell till you go ahead, buddy. So you never go out there. I've never had the
Okay, guys, here we split now between those who want to walk up on the tail and those who want to go shopping at the Agora.
I'm going shopping.
So those who
So
want to go up the tail, you go up around, you go up those steps. What is it now? 2, 3, and then 3 up where the coffee shop is. Okay, at the entrance. Those who want to go up on the
Go, Doc, go! Go, Doc,
Y'all
go!
just going shopping.
These are I go with the women for shopping.
Huh? No, I wasn't. You weren't going to let you when you got it started.
You didn't have to worry about that. Huh?
I mean, the Romans didn't go up those steps.
We hear you, God.
There's the fire pit.
Yeah.
Right out there.
Easy.
Watch your step here. It's a piece of rebar.
Okay.
Second first. You wouldn't let you when you got started. Be turned around. It's gonna take him 30 minutes to get to the step. Start climbing. That's a long way. I'll let you walk up to Facade.
All of that is Walmart. All this is Walmart. Come on. This is all market. Here you see the shops.
The marketplace back in those days. Mosaic floors.
Hey, you get up here, you can see what it looked like. This right here.
Yeah, there you can see. It's a business. It's from the business. It's from a later period. It's like Byzantine, 5th century, 6th century, 80. All
This is what it would look like back then. You see there? You got shops over here. You got it had a top on, it had a roof and everything on it. So you come up here, you had shops there, and you had stuff on this side too. And all that was mosaic.
Shopping had to at least 10 times.
Well,
And
this
you know
up
where
here
they
is the
went?
high dollar district.
Where we just came
Where it
from.
from.
Yeah. Probably.
No, Walmart was on this side. See, this is Walmart down here, and the big stores were up there.
Well, where's the basement? That's where I usually go.
Well, we're in the basement. This is the basement store right here. That's what it would look like where we're at right here.
I am 70% off. I love it.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
I love a deal. I love a deal. I think a deal.
Me too.
I'm sure some Jews sneak in here too.
That's where those dancers were.
Those that their religion did not believe in would send somebody in to protect them first.
So, Ricardo, this is Ricardo, the main street of the city, Cardo. The Cardo of the city.